Good afternoon. I'm glad that you could join us for an introduction to Rule 52. This webinar is being recorded, so I am hopeful that I will be able to capture who has signed in as a participant. If not, I'll have time to do a screenshot just in case. Part of this training is for our corrective action plan that we did as a planning region team for our Birth to Two files in the spring. We, as a planning region team, promised the Nebraska Department of Education that we would provide training to all Birth to Two providers on the new Rule 52. Rule 52 went into effect on July 15, 2014, and there are a few changes compared to when the Birth to Two services were included in Rule 51. The referral process begins when the district receives a referral from a parent, a doctor, a WIC clinic, etc. Districts have 2 days in which to contact the services coordinators. Under the new Rule 52, all families must be assigned an Early Development Network Services Coordinator. That is no longer an optional privilege to have. They must have a services coordinator. If a family came into services before July 15th and they had opted to not have a services coordinator, they will not be forced to switch to one, but all new referrals, when you receive them, must be told about services coordination and that a services coordinator will be contacting them. The services coordinator then has 7 days to contact the family and schedule an intake interview. During that initial services coordinator visit, our Early Development Network service coordinators meet with the family to explain what services coordination is, and explain the process and the timeline for the evaluation for the screener. In our area, Planning Region Team 8, she also gives the parents a handbook that contains parental rights and special education, the complaint and hearing process, the glossary of special education terms, information about SSI and medically handicapped children's program, information about the Nebraska Respite Network, a services directory for area services that actually shows services for birth to 5 in each of our towns within Planning Region Team 8. And we have several of the Norfolk and regional services listed in there also. We also include many of the pamphlets that come from the state about various programs that might be available to families with children birth to 5. The services coordinator also explains the differences between a screener and an evaluation, and the parents then make a choice as to whether they're going to start with a screener or if they want to skip the screening step and have a full evaluation. She then asks them to sign a consent for evaluation. Screeners are a new addition or a new set of paperwork under Rule 52. We've always used screeners in some format, but now parents need to choose whether they're going to start with a screener. If they choose that, the early childhood special education teacher or the speech language therapist will administer the ages and stages. If the child passes all areas of the screener, the results are shared with the family, and the family may choose to end the process at that point, or they may still choose to ask for an evaluation, even if the child passed all areas of the screener. The person who did the screening must include the results in a letter or a written report to the family. There is no MDT meeting following just a screener because we didn't do an evaluation. There wasn't a multidisciplinary team. It's just a screener. But there must be a letter or a written report that goes to the family, and a copy is kept in the child's file. If the family chooses to have an evaluation, the evaluations for children birth to 2 must include 2 providers. This can be the early childhood special educator and then another provider as determined by the family's concerns. When the evaluation is complete and the providers are writing the multidisciplinary team report, they must include a description of the child's performance on the evaluation, the child's needs in each of the 5 developmental areas, and a statement that the child qualifies as a child with a disability based on the criteria contained in Rule 52. Make sure that the basis for making that determination is included in the written report. One example that was included in our file review is we had an MDT that simply said, see medical records, and the child qualified as other health impaired. That didn't pass the file review and won't in the future either. Need to make sure that you summarize the information that's included in medical records if that is part of the basis for determining that the child is eligible for services. If you have questions as we go through this PowerPoint, you can type them into the chat or you can wait till the end. Either way, we'll take some time to answer the questions. With the option to start with a screener, you need to be careful when you receive the file from the services coordinator, because you might look and see, oh, the family said, no, I don't want this. Why did the services coordinator send me the whole file? Well, what they have said no to is the consent for a screener. You need to go past that form and see that they have then given consent for an evaluation. Once the multidisciplinary team evaluation has been conducted, before the IFSP can be written, the child and family assessment must be completed. This is an additional step that we have not had in the past. The Early Development Network Services Coordinator and one provider from our teams in Planning Region Team 8 will try to make a joint visit to conduct a routine-based interview and a child assessment, although scheduling might not allow this to take place together as a team. They might have to go out on 2 different visits. We will see how that goes through the year. The services coordinators are currently reviewing some routines-based interviews to select the one that will gather the information we need, but also be friendly to the families. I know that Norfolk's Planning Region team went through RBI boot camp this summer and is very enthused about the process. But it can take up to 2 hours to have a thorough conversation with the parents. You learn a lot of information that is valuable. The child assessment can be that you take out portions of the gold. If there are questions about the child's daily living skills and their social skills, now is an opportunity to talk with parents about that in detail rather than talking with them about it during the IFSP meeting or at a later visit. After the assessment, the child and family assessment are completed, the results are written in a written report, not the multidisciplinary team report, but a separate assessment report that is shared with the family at the IFSP meeting. This assessment will help the team identify goals and opportunities to practice skills. The IFSP meeting and the requirements on the form are very similar to what we've had in the past. There have not been big changes, but we do need to make sure that the information from the child and family assessments is included either in the strengths section or as each developmental area is discussed. Goals should be measurable and easily understood by families. What will the child be doing in a year? How often will she do it? How well will she do it? Where will she demonstrate the skill? So some examples are, Ashley will pull herself to a standing position and cruise along the length of the couch without falling on 5 out of 7 evenings. Ashton will request more juice using sign language or oral communication at breakfast or snack time in 4 out of 5 opportunities. In inserted a slide. It's in the wrong place. The assessment, we are reviewing Robin McWilliams' routines-based interview to see if we'll use all or part of that. And I talked about the gold can be used to guide your questions. Some other examples of IFSP goals: Bobby Joe will point to an item that her mother names on each page of a book during bedtime reading. During the family assessment, you discover that's when they usually read is at bedtime. They share a few books, and so we can incorporate that into the goal. That's when the practice time will be. Bobby Joe will point to dog, baby, kitty, and ball with 100% accuracy by October 1st. Or Carol will use a palm graph to eat 10 Cheerios within 10 minutes at snack time in 4 out of 5 days. When we had our file review in March, the team from NDE and HHS stressed that goals should be understandable by family or child care providers. It could be something that the family truly could post on the refrigerator, and everyone who worked with that child throughout the day would know whether he or she was becoming close to meeting the goal. Services must occur in natural environments: home, daycare, park, other places that children birth to two would naturally be. Services must begin within 30 days of the IFSP meeting. This is the main service for the child must begin within 30 days of the IFSP meeting. And the services coordinators are now charged with the responsibility to make sure that at least one of the services has started within 30 days of meeting. So if you have been writing services to be twice in 6 months, we need to take a look at that and see, will that first visit be within 30 days? When a child is approaching transition age, a transition conference must be held not fewer than 90 days nor more than 9 months before the child's 3rd birthday. The parents can decide to transition to an IEP when the child turns 3 during the school year, or stay on an IFSP until August 31st. Regardless of when the parents choose to make that transition, the transition conference must still be held close to that 3rd birthday. If a child remains on an IFSP, one of the goals on the IFSP must be a literacy goal. So at 3, the child turns 3 in September, and he's going to stay on an IFSP until August 31st of next year. We need to make sure that one of those goals is related to literacy. That's to help him transition into preschool at the end of the IFSP. The steps for transitioning to an IEP must be documented on the IFSP. There's a new option for parents. Parents may decide to not receive any educational services, but to continue to have a services coordinator. If parents choose to do this, a school administrator would be invited to the IFSP updates to review the child's progress and to offer services to support the child's development, so that parents are aware that educational services are still available if they choose to have them 6 months into the IFSP, etc. I don't foresee parents choosing this option in our area because there are limited medical services and private clinics. I think in the metro area they may be looking at this option more often. And then a friendly reminder that timelines must be met. You have 2 days to contact the Early Development Network when you receive a referral. We have 45 calendar days to complete the screener, evaluation, assessment, and IFSP. That timeline has not changed. 45 days from when the referral is received until the IFSP is written. We have 30 days to begin at least one service after the IFSP is written, and the transition conference must occur 90 days to 9 months prior to the child's 3rd birthday. In tying this to the Results Matter Gold expectations, we also have 45 days to complete the entry assessment on Gold from the IFSP date. And the exit assessment on gold must be completed before the child's 3rd birthday. So we need to be conscious of the 3rd birthday is approaching. We need to make sure that we've done a gold benchmark that can be used as an exit assessment on gold. Don't look at gold as being something extra that must be done for reporting. Use the information to develop the child's IFSP or IEP. That will make the process more beneficial for both the child and yourself as you're working through gold. Do you have questions? You will all be receiving a copy of Rule 52. It will arrive in the van mail sometime next week. They will have bright pink colors. For those of you who work in both school age and birth to 2, you will also receive a copy of Rule 51. One of the questions is gold understandable for parents as a goal? I would not use completing gold as a goal for the parents, but one of those skill sets or skill levels could be included as a goal or a benchmark. I did not. Question somewhere else. Good question, Kathy. Do I have an example? No, I don't, but I will certainly send one out to all of the participants. This is a new process for everyone, so we'll have patience, and if as we develop some goals or a sample of an assessment report, we'll certainly share them across our region. I can see that 2 people are typing questions, but they haven't come through. For the routine-based visit, it would be the Early Development Services Coordinator and whichever provider is doing the evaluation. So if you were the early childhood special education teacher that did the evaluation, we would ask that you would be the person going out to do the assessment also. Now, if there were 2 providers, an early childhood teacher and a speech therapist who did the evaluation part, then it would be up to the 2 of you to determine who could go out to do the child assessment. Margaret is sharing that the routine-based interview takes 2 hours. Seems like a long time, but it goes pretty quickly. Good, and your families have found benefit as well as your providers already. So. There has been some statewide training on routine-based assessments. We will be looking at whether we need to bring in or host some additional training on routine-based interview and child and family assessments in this area. The boot camp that I referred to earlier is offered during the summer. NDE sponsors teams from schools to attend. And Margaret, would you help me in remembering how many days your team spent at RBI boot camp? RBI boot camp was 2 days of training and well worth the time. Our speech and language providers had asked earlier if the assessment and the evaluation could all be done within the same visit. But depending on how long that evaluation takes, and sometimes with these little ones, you break that evaluation into small chunks of time over 2 or 3 visits. I think it would be better to make those separate visits, do the evaluation, see if the child is actually going to qualify, and then schedule another time to go out and do the assessment. NDE strongly supports Robin McWilliams' routines-based interview and his materials. He has several books that include a routines-based interview. I can send out the title of 2 that we have here at the service unit. I don't have them available for checkout, but I could certainly give you the ordering information. Yes, Sue Bainter is a consultant with NDE that could also come out to train a local team or answer questions about routines-based interviews. If there are no other questions at this time, I thank you for your time, and I will be sending out more information as we learn more about routines-based interviews and assessments, and I look forward to working with you throughout the year. Thanks.